Stubborn. People who know me well would use that word to describe me sometimes. I used to hate asking for help. I can do everything on my own. I don't need any help, I thought. But it wasn't just because I was stubborn. It was also because I didn't want to burden other people with my problems, especially when it came to my mental health. And I'm guessing that there are people in this room who feel the same way. I've faced some tough things in my life, and I've also had a lot of good things happen too. This mindset, this I don't need help, I got it all on my own, this can cause problems for you down the road. The good news is there's a simple fix. All you have to do is talk about it. Tell someone else what you're going through. This mindset might sound terrifying. I get it, but trust me, because I've done it. And maybe you're wondering, what difference will it make if you tell someone? Well, let's think for a minute. What might happen if we stopped hiding what we were going through in our lives? Think about the connections that we would make with the people around us. Imagine what that would do for our communities. I've made the decision to stop hiding what I'm going through, and it's changed everything for me. Through this connection and sharing revolution in my life, I've learned 3 things. The first is that by sharing, you gain a better understanding of what you're going through. My junior year in high school, I was taking a mix of demanding high school classes, college classes, and an art class, which was my favorite. I was also involved in the basketball team, and I just had a lot kind of going on in my own personal life. As the year went on, I began losing interest in everything. I remember sitting in my art class, and I'd just sit and stare into space. Art did nothing for me anymore, and it was something that I loved. I remember basketball games, I'd be in the middle of playing on the court, and I would sub myself out because I just didn't want to play anymore. I had no interest in it. Nothing I did brought me joy. I had no motivation to do anything. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to get out of bed. All I wanted to do was sleep. I was depressed, but I denied it. As winter dragged on, my depression worsened. I blamed it on 3 things: hormones, stress, and lack of sleep. My best friend kept trying to tell me, hey, you should probably start talking to someone about how you're feeling, maybe get some help. Stubborn me, I said, no, I'll be fine, I'll get through it. I was in complete denial. Then one night I was driving home from a basketball game. We lived just out of town, and it was dark, and right as I got to the edge of town, a deer ran right in front of me. I screamed, but not out of terror, out of anger that the deer didn't run out in front of me sooner. I didn't want to live anymore. I was in a dark place. The next day, my art teacher connected with me. She'd ask me, all right, what's going on? Tell me about it. And I told her everything. Everything just came pouring out. And because she connected with me and then connected me with a counselor, my life is different. For the next 3 months, I would spend an hour each day in the counselor's office talking about how I was feeling. And because I was open with the counselor about how I was feeling and what was going on, I was able to accept that I was depressed, that it was more than just those 3 things. Talking about it helped me understand what I was going through and the feelings that I was feeling, and it got me the help that I needed. This whole experience taught me to not try and do everything on my own. The second thing I learned is that when you share, it can allow the people who care about you to help you. My senior year of high school, my dad began battling anxiety and depression. Later that spring, he would be admitted for the first time. This was hard. I knew I'd be moving out soon, and I was graduating, so I wouldn't be able to be there for him in the same way. And as I began my first semester at college, I began feeling guilty for not being able to be at home and be as present in my family's lives. So learning from the past, I began talking about it. One of my supervisors in particular had always made it a point to ask me how I was doing. And he would tell me that if there was ever anything that he could do, to just let him know. January of my freshman year, my dad would be admitted for the second time. I got the phone call when I was at work from my mom telling me that she was dropping my sister off with me and that she would be taking my dad to the hospital. And because I was already open with my supervisor about what was going on in my home life, I didn't have to explain everything that was going on. He already knew, and there was no questions asked. This also gave him the opportunity to help. He took my sister and I out for shakes after we closed at the wellness center. We were out until 1 o'clock in the morning just getting our mind off of things. You see, the people who care about us want to help in those kinds of situations. And if we hold back, we rob them of the opportunity to connect with us and help us. The connections you make by sharing your struggles allow people to help you when you may need it most. And finally, the third thing I've learned is that when you share, you can provide people comfort who are going through similar things as you because they know that they're not alone. Not long after my dad was admitted, I was assigned my printmaking final for class. The assignment was to create a work that addressed a social justice issue we were passionate about. For me, instantly my mind went to mental health and how people don't talk about what they're going through. Shortly before the assignment, I found out that a friend of mine had suicidal ideation, and I had no idea. Meanwhile, another friend of mine was distancing themselves from me because they didn't want to burden me with their problems. I get it. It's hard to talk about that kind of stuff. I've been there. I know it's difficult to face your problems and accept that you need help, to admit that you're not doing okay. So I wanted to create a work that allowed people to anonymously share what they were going through while allowing others to read about and learn about what the people around them were going through. I've now displayed this work at the Wellness Center on campus, at my hometown high school, and now here at this event. And so far, the results have been amazing. People have genuinely shared what they're going through, and others have stopped to read even if they didn't write. But something amazing happened that I wasn't expecting. People began writing positive and encouraging things on these prints and on the display. So if people can anonymously support others who are going through some pretty difficult things, imagine what would happen if we were just more open about things. Imagine the connections and the support that you would receive from others. My story has demonstrated the importance of speaking up. And when you share and connect, you can better understand your own experiences. It allows people to help, or people who care about you to help you, and you let others know that they're not alone. Sharing is easier said than done. I know that. But it's really not that hard. You just have to be a little bit brave. Words connect us. Art connects us. I grew up being told that I was not alone, and I hope you all know that too. Speaking up takes courage, but know that when you do, the connections you will make will be life-changing. Thank you.